Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining the class. I think I see some new faces. How many of you here for the first time? Raise your hand. Okay. So you guys are coming from where? Just happen to visit temple or Jersey? Okay. Which university do you go to? Are you working? Students. Where do you study? LIU. Okay, the one behind the temple. Okay, very nice. All of you? Fordham and you are? Long Island near you? Long Island. How would you? Pace. Okay. NJIT. You stay in Jersey City or Harrison? Jersey only. Okay. And this? Okay. From where? Mumbai. Okay. Wonderful. How about you, Prabhu? Okay. Very nice. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Also, I thank all the devotees who have joined online. So now we will start from the 6th chapter. We're continuing the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's called as Dhyana Yoga. Let me just give you a context of what's happening. Okay. So in the beginning of the 6th chapter, okay, in the previous chapter, towards the conclusion of the 5th chapter, Krishna explained to Arjuna about Nishkama Karma Yoga. I'm pretty sure all of you are well versed with the terms. Anyone knows what Nishkama Karma Yoga is? You know what yoga is? Huh? No. What is yoga? Connection. Yoga means to connect with divine, Supreme Personality, Godhead. Okay, so Nishkama Karma Yoga. So yoga, okay, you understood yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Does anyone know Karma Yoga? Is the most common type of yoga.
Connecting with divine with some work.
Very good. Connecting with the divine through work. That means we do that work which is through which we can connect with God. Not any work you can connect with God. The activities which opposes the laws of God is not Karma Yoga, isn't it? So therefore Krishna explains to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita what kind of work pleases him. Only that becomes as Karma Yoga. Okay, so now what is the prefix Nishkama? So you understood yoga, Karma Yoga. What is Nishkama Karma Yoga? Okay, maybe others. Who is a scholar here? Coming for last three years. Yes, Prabhu. Selfless act. Okay. Nishkama, selfless. Okay, thank you. Something more? It's in the right direction. Yeah.
Kama is moha, right? Kama is, I heard that.
Okay. The moha is illusion. Yeah. This is very close to Hindi, right? Nishkama. Kama, Nishkama. Yes, without attachment to the fruits. Not your apple and strawberry. Nishkama Karma Yoga means not attached to the fruits of your work. That means, Hare Krishna, you can take a cushion. You have to be careful because the door keeps opening there. If you want, you can also come this side. Yeah. Yeah, Nishkama Karma Yoga means activity done to connect with God in a way in which we are not attached to the fruits of it. To that work, one can connect with God. That means if if you like to study, you study the literatures that can help you understand God. If you like to work, but donate some money to God. Hmm? Don't work for money. Work so that money can go to God. They're two different things. Hare Krishna, isn't it? So therefore, we have already discussed about Nishkama Karma Yoga in the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And after explaining about Nishkama Karma Yoga, Krishna also explains Ashtanga Yoga. Just he gives a one verse in the fifth chapter conclusion about what Ashtanga Yoga is. He just talks about it. So in the sixth chapter, he is talking more in detail about Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga means connecting with the Lord through meditation, Dhyana. So why is Krishna talking about different yoga systems? He's explaining to Arjuna different ways to connect to him. Hmm? Prior, he had already talked about Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, he talked about Sakama or Nishkama Karma Yoga. He talked about Jnana Yoga. And now he's talking about Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. If these terminologies are not very easy to comprehend, it's not a problem because essence is Bhakti Yoga. So anyway, we'll come to that. I will not come to that. Krishna himself will come to that at the conclusion of sixth chapter. Okay. So now you see in the fifth chapter, as I said, he talked about Nishkama Karma Yoga in detail and touched upon Ashtanga Yoga. So the sixth chapter, he is explaining more in detail about Ashtanga Yoga. So verses 1 to 9, he talks about how to make advancement in Ashtanga Yoga. So we'll just read the translation so that all of you get a context. Okay. Quickly you can read. Tak, 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 one, one, one.
Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty."
Yeah. So first, Krishna is glorifying Nishkama Karma Yoga in the first two verses. Yeah.
What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the
Yeah.
means.
That means when we start the yoga system, especially Ashtanga Yoga system, initially one has to work. But as one makes advancement in Ashtanga Yoga system, one can withdraw from any kind of material work.
A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities.
Yeah. Fruitive.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
How can the same mind be friend as well as an enemy? How many of you have such friends who are also your enemies? Anyone here? Yeah? Your friends are your enemies? Really? Wow. Surprised you are keeping such friends. I try not to. Okay, not to. You cannot avoid that. Really? So they may not be your friends, they are just in your working relationship. Yeah, okay. Working relationship, we call it. Okay. Be careful of such friends. Similarly, be careful of such a mind. So, when is the mind a friend?
Control.
Controlled mind is your best friend. And when is the mind your enemy?
Uncontrolled.
Uncontrolled mind. Very good. Next.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Okay.
For one who has conquered the mind, the supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
Yeah. So where is the super soul present? Anyone knows? Where is the super soul present? In the heart. So heart transplant means switching the super soul. Where is he present? Huh?
Spirit.
In the mind. Where is that mind? In the brain. Brain and mind are complete two different things. Man, where is it? किधर है? हाँ? इधर. Lungs में.
Spirit.
Super soul is in the region of the heart, but he is actually, when in Ayurveda you will study, there's something called as nadis or channels. There's like Sushumna nadi, there's Ida nadi, there are different nadis. So yeah, Pingala nadi. So like that, in a channel which is close to the region of the heart, super soul is present along with the soul. Soul and super soul are two different entities. Super soul is God himself and soul is us. So super soul is also directing the soul. I'll come to you. Super soul is also directing the soul, but mind is also shouting. Mind is saying, I want that car, I want that home, I want that degree, I want this job. So mind is shouting out all desires, and super soul is also speaking. So therefore, we cannot hear the super soul because the noise of the mind is too much. So therefore, here you can see, for one who has conquered the mind, one who could shut up his mind, for such a person, Paramatma is reached. Then he can hear the Paramatma. So it's not that people ask, where is God? God is there in your heart, isn't it? And but can I talk to God? Yeah. Only problem is mind is shouting too much. So if you conquer the mind, you can hear God. See, for such a man who has attained the super soul, for such a man, there's happiness, distress, heat and cold, honor, dishonor, they're all the same. Because he's constantly guided by Krishna. Okay, next one.
A person said to be established in self realization as called yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by the virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and self controlled. He sees everything, whether it's pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same.
Yeah. Pebbles or gold, same. I'll ask the Matajis. Pebbles and gold, can you see the same? If you attain self realization, you can. Really? No, I mean, generally they like to wear ornaments, right? No, my mother used to be a big fan of gold, but I used to hate, Alukas. I remember she used to take me all those places. So I used to hate. I never understood what is so special about gold. But generally, people cannot see. People value gold as very something very special. I mean, till now, I cannot value gold as something very special, apart from the fact that it carries monetary value. Isn't it? But a person who is self-realized, he can see both the same way, pebbles or gold, because he has nothing to gain from this material world, and therefore he can see it same. Newspaper and currency note. Yeah, but that's not our process. We don't see the same. Don't put newspaper in hundi. Currency, currency note in your pocket. This means that he doesn't have any selfish motivation out of it. So he's ready to give more to God. Okay, next. Who was reading? Yes, please.
A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind.
So these things are very difficult. This is
Yes.
only talking about a person who has reached Aruruda, isn't it? Aruruda, Aruruksha and Aruruda. Two stages of Astanga Yoga. Aruruda means he is highly advanced in yoga and self-realization. He has completely realized his self and he is able to meditate on the super soul. For such a person, he can see friends and enemies at the same level. We are not like that. I mean, sometimes we may think that I am also like that. Situations expose us. So this is not very easy. Now you will find Krishna tells Arjuna how to start this process of Ashtanga Yoga. What does it take? What kind of, where do you have to live? What kind of dress can you wear? Can you wear Levi's jeans, hmm, Louis Philippe shirt? You cannot wear branded things. Only deer skin. You'll see what Krishna tells to practice yoga. What all you have to wear. Okay, that is 1 to 9. He talks about advancing in Ashtanga yoga. Okay, now verse 10 to 32. He talks about the stages of Ashtanga yoga practice. Okay, so we'll go through each one of them. So we had done till ninth one, right? Last time. You had a question?
Now I have two.
Okay.
These, I mean, this particular one in the Dhyan Yoga and the things that are prescribed, is it for a particular audience with a particular purpose, or is it for anyone and everyone?
It is for anyone who's interested in it.
But it's not like that everyone should be going through these.
No.
And,
You,
and the other one was that so far we have understood that our body, like it's like there are three parts we understood. One is the gross, one is the subtle, and one is the soul. And in the subtle we had intelligence, false ego, and mind.
yeah, gross body, subtle body, and spirit soul. Okay.
But today you mentioned that in addition to these three, there is also the super soul, which is distinct from the soul and present inside.
Yeah, correct.
So
is present next to the soul.
but it is distinct from the soul.
Of course,
like
yeah.
Only qualitatively it could be the same, or I don't know.
Oh, means they're two different entities.
So can you elaborate a bit on this, because this adds a new dimension to our existence, like new layer.
Okay. I'll draw for you. Very easy. Okay. Oh, this is not connected. You can just get the USB-C to USB-C. Yeah. Something like this. Actually, the soul is the tenant in this body, and the body has a subtle covering and a gross covering. But next to the soul, the super soul is present. But super soul is complete separate entity who is trying to direct the soul. So it's not in the personality it's not in our personality, because we identify with the soul, or if we are people also identify with the subtle body, they say I get bogged down by my mental desires. What are you trying to do? No, it won't work like this. You have to remove this. Yeah, or people identify with the gross body, isn't it? So therefore, the three self, it is said: gross body, what you can see mine, I can see yours; subtle body, the mind, intelligence, ego, or the spirit soul. One who is highly advanced, he identifies truly that I am actually the spirit soul. But no one, you cannot identify I am the super soul. That's some another entity.
But whether one is advanced or not, irrespective, is it that by birth everyone has all the four?
All the four, I understand.
And like, is it that everyone by default has the super soul as well?
Yes.
Correct that. No, thank you. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay. Do something. No? Okay. Yeah. So you have your gross body. Oh, actually, I just did yesterday. Right? Okay. So you see, this is your gross body. This is your subtle body. You can see, right? When you talk about personality, sorry, we talk about the personality. Yes. Okay, sorry. Okay. So the whole point is here in the region of the heart. Here in the region of the heart, you have You have one soul, and then there is super soul. Okay, and this is the Supreme Lord Vishnu's expansion, super soul. And he is directing the soul, and this white dot, the spark, is you. Yeah, yes, you. Okay, so though you have this gross body, this is your gross body. This is your gross body, and even the subtle body, you cannot pinpoint and say where is your subtle body. Many people think mind is in the brain. Mind is not necessarily in the brain. The entire subtle body, just like you have a gross body which is extending. Oceans. Oh, sorry, oceans. Okay. Okay. So just as you have a entire this gross body here, similarly you have a subtle body. Let's point it with blue, like this. This is your subtle body. It takes the same shape as the gross body, but it is subtler. So this constitutes the mind, intelligence and ego. It's not that mind is just here in the head, isn't it? No, my mind is troubling me. Mind is not here. It's in the subtle body. Subtle body is not concentrated to the head. You able to understand? It's just subtle to the gross body. It's subtle matter. But the soul has a particular region where it exists in the nadi here, in the channel, but it's not in the heart. Okay, is that okay? That's both of your questions. Okay. Okay, we'll do 10th verse. So 10 to 35, 32 verse, Krishna explains about the stages of Ashtanga yoga practice. So we will see how much practical it is for us. And yeah, actually Arjuna later on says that this is not practical for me. So we will go through it. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitah एकाकी यत चित्तात्मा निराशीर परिग्रहः. Who's next reading? Who has the mic?
A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in a relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness.
Yeah. How many of you find it a little difficult to follow this? You have to be your only relationship is with the Supreme. Live alone in a secluded place. Carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and all feelings of possessiveness. Can you read the purport? Wait, in the purport. Okay, the 3 times. Okay, you can read the purport at your leisure. We'll go to the next one. Okay, a very big purport. Just so that you know Ashtanga yoga means 8 limbs, right? I don't want anyone to be wondering what Ashtanga yoga is. Ashtanga yoga. Okay, what is the first one? Yama. Then yes, asana. Google कर रहे क्या? Next, pranayam. Yeah, pranayam. Then samadhi will come here. You're right, but this comes later on. Dharana comes here.
What is the second one?
Dhyana. So what is fifth one? Pratyahara. Yeah. Pratyahara means withdrawal of senses from sense objects. Pratyahara. Pratyahara. Okay. I'm not sure spelling is correct. Anyway, so this is Ashtanga Yoga. These are the 8 limbs of yoga practice in Ashtanga Yoga to become a yogi. So what does yam mean? Anyone knows? Yama. Okay. Yama means don'ts. And this is do's. And asana, postures. Okay. This is common. Pranayama, breath control. Yeah. And pratyahara, withdrawal what from the senses?
Without attachment.
Yeah, withdrawal of senses from sense object. Okay. Withdrawal of senses from sense objects. Okay. Dharana. What? 12 seconds of what? Of something. Only 12 seconds is dharana. Yeah, meditating for 12 seconds straight without distraction is dharana. 12 seconds. And dhyana, 12 into 12, 144. And samadhi, 12 into 12 into 12, 25 minutes, 28 seconds. So if you can actually meditate without distraction for 25 minutes, 28 seconds, you are in samadhi. This is actually Ashtanga Yoga. So if you have to come to this stage of meditation, you need the first 5 limbs to be practiced. So today when people try to do meditation without any kind of restriction, any kind of regulation of the senses, without any kind of self-restraint, all such meditation is simply bogus. Krishna clearly explains in Ashtanga Yoga, before meditation comes, these 5 stages. First of all, we need to know what are the do's, what are the don'ts. What to eat, what not to eat. How much to eat, how much not to eat. When to eat, when not to eat. When to sleep, when not to sleep. How much to sleep, how much not to sleep. So like this, everything has to be regulated. That's yam niyam. And then comes asana. Asana means you actually calm down the body. And then pranayama, with breath control, you calm down the mind, because breathing and mind, they are connected. So by different kinds of pranayam techniques, you calm down the mind. You have what is it called? Puraka, Rechaka, Kumbhaka. Anyone knows? Okay. Basically, in pranayam, you try to make prana. There's prana, flow of prana. You know that there's 5 airs that control the body. Actually, 10 airs. 5 are primary. One of such air is prana. So if you have to speak, like powerful speakers, they have very strong prana. If your prana is weak, you cannot showcase yourself much, right? So prana is weak. So in pranayam, you try to control or regulate your prana and your apana. Apana is the downward pushing air, prana is the upward pushing air. You try to reverse the flow and connect apana and prana. So that is there's puraka, there's kumbhaka, and rechaka means, in breathing you inhale, you exhale. After exhaling, you don't inhale for some time. That is called as rechaka. So like that, there are different techniques in pranayam. All this is just to calm down the mind, right? And then you have pratyahara. When your body is calmed down, when your mind is calmed down, it's easy for you to pull your senses away from sense object. Without doing that, if you just artificially suppress your mind, artificially suppress your senses, what happens? One day it will explode. Artificially, you cannot pull your senses away from sense object. It's not possible. Krishna tells Arjuna in the 3rd chapter, Arjuna, if you artificially withdraw your senses from sense object, the taste for the sense object remains in the mind. And therefore, mithyacharasa uchyate. Such a person becomes a pretender. Such a person in society, what does he do? He wears saffron robes. In the daytime, he's a sadhu. In night time, he is involved in all kinds of scandals. Why? Because it's simply artificial. Artificially, you cannot restrain your senses. You have to calm down the mind. You have to purify the mind. So this is Ashtanga Yoga. So going forth, you will see now Krishna is explaining what all things are required. We'll quickly go through the translations. We have to go till 32 because Krishna is giving so many things. I think in 17 we'll stop. Something very practical is there at 17th verse. Okay, we'll read this. Shuchau deshe pratishtapya स्थिरमासनमात्मनः नादुच्युतं नाति नीचं चैलाजिनकुशोत्तरं तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यदचित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्यात् योगमात्मविशुद्धये. Who has the mic? Can we?
To practice one should go to a to practice yoga one should go to a scheduled place,
Secluded.
secluded, sorry.
To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deerskin and soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low, should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point.
Yeah. So this is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga. What is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga? Finally, to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activity and fixing the mind on one point. This is the purpose. For this, you have to do a lot. He's saying, first of all, you should go to a secluded place like a forest. Then you should lay a kusha grass. Anyone has seen kusha grass in your life? Anyone? Very few. We have seen normal grass. He's saying particularly kusha grass. Artificial grass. That also not real grass, isn't it? So Krishna is saying kusha grass. Kusha grass is a very sacred grass used in all kinds of rituals, and it's very pure. So kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin. Where do you get deer skin? You can get drama costume and deer drama costume. Where do you get the deer skin? Isn't it? So he's saying then you have to cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. And the seat should neither be too high nor too low. And should be situated in a sacred place. Definitely not New York City. Go back to India. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga. All this for the purpose of purification of heart. Yeah. See, sacred place refers to place of pilgrimage. Prabhupada is saying Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, Haridwar, so many other places. Or where sacred rivers are there, like Yamuna, Ganges, all these. But this is not possible, especially for the Westerners, because they're here. And we are also like Westerners, right? Yeah. See, the so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they're not at all suitable for actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Yeah. So we'll come to this. Now finally Prabhupada says, then what kind of meditation can we do in Kali Yuga? We don't have kusha grass, we don't have deer skin, we don't have so many things what Krishna will further mention in the verses. And how to practice meditation? We'll come to that as the conclusion of the talk. As of now, we'll go ahead. Samam kaya shiro grivam धारयन् अचलं स्थिरः सम्प्रेक्ष्य नासिकाग्रं स्वं दिशश्चानवलोकयन् प्रशान्तात्मा विगतभीर् ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत मत्परः. Next.
One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the
All of you
nose.
can sit straight. Yeah.
Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life.
Yeah. So with the subdued mind, unagitated and devoid of fear, all of which is not there today because our minds are so fearful of current kya hone wala hai, Trump administration, isn't it? So much of fear, so much of uncertainty. But a yogi who wants to practice this yoga, he cannot have his mind agitated, and therefore he doesn't even deal with the opposite sex. Completely free from sex life, brahmachari vrate stitaha. He's situated in a vow of brahmacharya, celibacy, so that his mind is free from all kinds of agitations, and therefore one meditates upon me within the heart. Okay, we'll go to the next one. So this is vedabase.io. You can go through these purports, very valuable. In the interest of time, I'm just going to the verses. Yunjanevam saratmanam yogi niyata manasaha shantim nirvana paramam mat samstham adhigacchati.
Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence.
Yeah. So by constant such practice, he goes to spiritual world. Na tashnatastu yogosti न च एकान्तम् अनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन.
There's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough.
Exact. You have to measure your food and take. A yogi doesn't eat too much, nor does he eat too less. A yogi doesn't sleep too much, nor does he sleep too less. How many of you have a problem of eating too less here? Really? Amazing. How many of you have a problem of sleeping too less? Okay. You know, less means less than 4 hours, right? Some people may be thinking, I'm sleeping very less, just 10 hours a day. Sleeping too less means like 3 hours. Very passionate people who want to conquer the whole world. They only sleep 2-3 hours. So not just sleep too. So one should regulate. Now Krishna is coming to the point of regulation. We'll come across a very famous verse now. Yeah, this is the one. युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. It's a very important verse and very practical for our current existence. Who is reading next?
Yeah. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system.
Yeah. So one has to be regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. See, one can mitigate all material pain by practicing the yoga system. Mhm. Just if you follow this advice of Krishna, the material world can be less troublesome. Your material life can be way more peaceful. When? When we learn the art of regulating our activities of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. Don't work all day and become a workaholic. Nor can one play all day. Play all day means just relaxing all day and become a good for nothing. Nor should one keep eating all day. Regulation in eating also means what eating what? Yeah. Eating when? Eating how much? This is regulation. Similarly, sleep. So we'll go to the purport. Very valuable lessons are there for us. Continue. Who was reading?
Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam or sanctified food. Lord Krishna is obferred according to the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption or not in a category of goodness.
Yeah. So let's talk about eating first, the most sensitive part. So Krishna is saying that one should not eat anything and everything. Today, whatever people see moving, you will find it in the restaurant menu. Isn't it? Because people are not satisfied. People not satisfied with what we are getting to eat, they feel that there's something more. Isn't it? Actually, in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned. I heard it is already in practice. Gradually, as the age becomes even more worse, people will start eating the flesh of aborted babies. Ever heard that before?
Yes.
Yeah, some countries I heard they already started it. Yeah, isn't it? Right, to go to that one particular restaurant to have the fare. They work so hard, and if you ask a man working so hard and ask him why are you working so hard, they say, "पेट का सवाल." Isn't it? "पापी पेट का सवाल" means they say because I have to eat. But they don't understand. They don't have enough common sense to understand. You don't have to work so hard just to eat. If a mediocre person, a middle class person eats 3 chapatis, sabji, rice, and dal, now if you earn 10 times more, will you eat 30 chapatis and 10 times more rice and dal and sabji? Your eating remains the same, isn't it? So, therefore, the greed of the tongue is what actually drives the uh, materialistic living entities simply to work hard and hard, isn't it? Why are they doing kirtan here? Yeah, so disturbing. I cannot focus on what I'm saying. You can close their door. Yeah, isn't it? See, Prabhupada uses a very strong statement. I hope it not feel offended. No? Eating is usually a very sensitive thing, but I usually like to talk about eating because there is a book, book or a statement which says you are what you eat. Ever heard of that book? You are what you eat. It's a documentary. Okay, you are what you eat. That is it. That means that we have to be very careful in what we eat. There are two terms used: sanctioned and sanctified. Mhm. That means what is sanctified food stuff?
Blessed.
Huh?
Blessed.
Blessed. Sanctified means clean food stuff. Sattvic ahar. You have heard of sattvic ahar? They think sattvic ahar is for old people and rishi munis. We can eat whatever we. Sattvic ahar is that which is nourishing to the body. If you go to the Bhagavad Gita, which 17th chapter? 17th chapter, if I'm not wrong, Krishna talks about food stuff in the notes. He talks about how the mode of ignorance food refers to dead carcasses or that which stimulates sex desire, or actually we can just go through it. Can you just find out where is it, which verse is this? Eating in the mode of ignorance. Yeah. So it's very important. This is how this is Uchishtam apicha medhyam. Uchishtam apicha medhyam. Bhojanam tamasapriyam. Very nice. Okay. Here you see gata rasam means tasteless food. Puti, bad smelling. People eat bad smelling. Paryushitam, decomposed. Uchishtam, remnants of food eaten by others. People generally have, na? Love means we eat each other's food. It's not very clean, hygienic thing to do. Amedhyam, untouchable. That means like dead carcasses. Such bhojanam, eating is tamasapriyam, dear to one in mode of ignorance. Okay. See, food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten. Yes, after 3 hours, it becomes tamasic. Food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid. Food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. That means if our eating habit is in mode of ignorance, it promotes mode of ignorance. So in the 14th and 17th chapter of Gita, Krishna says, what is the danger of mode of ignorance? Ignorance is characterized by pramad, alasya, and nidra. That means if our mode of ignorance increases, we will feel more sleepy and lethargic, nidra, pramad, madness due to intoxication, and alasya, again, laziness. If these experiencing these characteristics, it's probably because our lifestyle, substance of it is in mode of ignorance, tamasa. And such, see, ignorance is because of the mode of ignorance. See, Prabhupada says the purpose of food is to increase duration of life, purify the mind, and aid bodily strength. That is the purpose of food. In the past, great authorities selected those foods that best aid health and increase life's duration, like milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, vegetables. These foods are very dear to those in the mode of goodness. Some other foods, such as baked corn and molasses, while not very palatable in themselves, can be made pleasant when mixed with milk or other foods. All mode of goodness. Yeah, they are quite all these foods are pure by nature, which are distinct from untouchable things like meat and liquor. See, fatty foods are also in mode of goodness, but they have no connection with animal fat. Animal fat is available in the form of milk, which is most wonderful of all foods. See, what makes milk in the cow? The blood transforms into milk, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada says, yes, you want to drink blood of cow, drink in the form of milk. Be satisfied. You don't have to slit the throat of a cow and drink its blood, isn't it? Milk is in mode of goodness, blood is in mode of ignorance. Milk, butter, cheese, and similar products give animal fat in a form which rules out any need for the killing of innocent creatures. It is only through brute mentality that this killing is going on. See, slaughter is the way of subhumans. Protein is amply available through split peas, dal, whole wheat, etc. Yeah. Where is our Sachin Prabhu? He is Sachin. What is his name? Full name? Deluka? Dekwal. Or Sachin Dekwal is a boxer. He has represented India and won many titles. He was sitting right here next to Rohit. So he is a vegan boxer. And his source of protein is this dal, whole wheat, split peas, isn't it? And now foods in the mode of passion, which are bitter. Food in the mode of passion are extremes: too bitter, too spicy, too salty, too hot. Yeah? Overly mixed with red pepper causes misery by reducing the mucus in the stomach. You know that, right? When you take too spicy things, then it destroys the mucus lining in the stomach, which causes stomach ulcers and so many diseases. Okay, foods in the mode of ignorance and darkness are essentially those that are not fresh. Any food cooked more than 3 hours before it is eaten, except for prasadam, is considered to be in the mode of darkness because they're decomposing, and such foods give bad odor, which often attracts people in this mode but repulses those in the mode of goodness. In one of our acharyas, his name is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When he went to Bhutan, he was cooking something in fresh ghee, and the people in that complex came out and said, "What is this bad smelling substance you're cooking?" And they made him to stop his cooking. He was cooking fresh ghee. They could not tolerate it. And then one day when he was sitting in that complex in his in that place, he found something which is very obnoxious smelling. And I forget the name of that thing. Then he found there was a special delicacy of that region. And you will be astonished to know how this delicacy is made. What do? They keep a jar through the rainy season. And all kinds of insects fall into it. And there's some sort of liquid to kill them. All kinds of insects fall into it. Grasshoppers, cockroaches, worms, I mean, furthermore, whatever. Throughout the rainy season, so you can imagine. And then what do? They close the lid and keep it for further moments. So all of them rot inside. And on special festive days, they open that delicacy and have it like pickle. I forget the name of that thing. And he was shocked. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, these fellows cannot tolerate the smell of ghee, and this is what they're eating. And he could not breathe because of that smell. But you see, ignorance and ignorance match. They don't understand. For them, ghee is obnoxious. For us, this is obnoxious, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Remnants of food may be eaten only when they are part of a meal that was first offered to Supreme Lord, or first eaten by saintly persons, especially spiritual master. Otherwise, the remnants of food are considered to be in the mode of darkness and they increase infection or disease. Okay. Yeah. So, therefore, what kind of food should we eat? Prasadam. What does prasadam mean? Prasadam means that which is sanctified. That means the food is pure. What is offerable to Krishna? Krishna has mentioned fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, grains, pulses. These things are offerable to Krishna. Now, onion, garlic not offerable. Hmm. Other vegetables are all offerable to Krishna. So that you cook fresh and hot, offer it to Krishna, and that you take. So when you cook using sattvic ingredients, it's called as sanctified, and sanctioned means it is, or that is called as sanctioned, and sanctified means that when you offer to Krishna, Krishna takes away all the karma in that food. So when you take Krishna prasadam, it nourishes your consciousness. You become very spiritual minded. You feel very, you like to do selfless activities. You feel devotion to the Lord. This is power of prasadam. Most of us have come to Krishna consciousness through prasadam. How many of you have come to Krishna consciousness through prasadam? Yeah. Yeah. Others who don't know, in future you'll get to know. Actually, I went to ISKCON temple for prasadam. उधर पकड़ लिया मुझे. Isn't it? Initially, we don't even understand ये क्या बोल क्या रहे गीता class में. But you take some prasadam, all your spiritual cells, your brain cells will open up. Then you can understand. Oh, it's so simple. You're not this body, spirit, soul. Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. All the things make sense just by taking prasadam. So that's about eating. I mean, eating. There's so much to talk about. I can keep talking. You just go. Yes.
Arjuna and his clan that are Kshatriyas, right? So were they eating meat back then?
No, he was a pure vegetarian. They would not eat meat. Kshatriyas were allowed to eat meat only on certain occasions, because for Kshatriyas, the nature, who becomes a Kshatriya? It's not like, I choose, I like to be a Kshatriya today. It's not like that. You don't choose. You're born with a certain psychophysical nature. So some people, they're born as Kshatriyas. So at festive occasions, they would eat meat. But generally, Arjuna and Pandavas would not eat because they were devotees of Krishna. Yeah. Okay. So we discussed about what is to be eaten and how much to eat. See, nowadays nowadays people eat whenever, isn't it? I can even remember myself, almost throughout the day I would be eating something, munching on something. Especially on holidays when I was going to school, you start with breakfast. After breakfast, some biscuits. After biscuits, some chips. After that, some soda. After that, lunch. After lunch, some chocolates. It never stops till dinner, isn't it? So this is very very bad for health, because when you keep adding to the fire you have to allow the fire to grow. Like once they did a homa in the temple hall, they were putting rice grains, and when people go in a circle, everyone throws the rice grains. They threw so much that the fire got doused. You don't have to throw so much. You have to keep maintaining the fire. So therefore you have to eat at certain times of the day daily. If you eat, for example, if you have your schedule as 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m., daily you have to eat at the same time. Then your fire of digestion becomes very strong, because your body expects at that time. But you change the timing. Today 9 a.m., tomorrow 12 p.m., and day after tomorrow full fasting, and after that whole day eating. So then it confuses the body, isn't it? So therefore Krishna is saying, you regulate your eating, sleeping, recreation, and work, you will become very peaceful materially. When material life becomes peaceful, it's easy to give your head to spiritual life. Okay, let's see what he says about sleeping. Yeah, can you read? As far as sleeping, who's reading next?
As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness. and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyartha
Kalatvam.
Kalitavam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasadam nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. As far as work is
Okay,
concerned,
yeah, that is sleep. So here, of course, we cannot imitate Srila Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur. For us, it is recommended we take rest about 6 to 8 hours. The purpose of sleep is to help body rejuvenate. The body starts its rejuvenation by 10 p.m. If you're not in bed by 10 p.m., that night it skips the rejuvenation of the body. So the toxins remain. They are not flushed out of the body, according to Ayurveda. So how many of you sleep before 10? Okay, so you can imagine. Hey, you don't sleep before 10. Sometimes. Isn't it? That means you can imagine how much toxin is being accumulated in the body, and they come out as diseases. So, for sleep, according to Ayurveda, the best time to sleep is from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. because every hour between 9 to 12 at night is equivalent to 2 hours of sleep. That means between 9 to 12 you're sleeping 6 hours. 1 to 3 you're sleeping 1 hour each. So 9 hours of sleep you're getting if you sleep between 9 to 3. Of course, you need a good association to start such a make such a radical change. Not easy, but that's what Ayurveda says. And some people, they have night shift. Sometimes they stay up all night and sleep in the day. Daytime sleep is the worst. It is not. I think you also would have experienced when you sleep in the day, you're not satisfied with sleep, and some many a times we wake up with headache and a lot of heat in the body. It's very bad for health. Daytime sleep. So that sleep also, like one boy in IIT, he slept on Friday, got up on Sunday. He missed out Saturday. So we should not sleep like that. Relationship is one aspect of life. Career is one aspect of life. Is not complete life. Your academics is one aspect of life. Spirituality is a major aspect of your life. Like that, you have different pies of life. So we have to invest energy in all different pies of life equally. Then a person can be happy. He can be satisfied. So leisure also, recreation doesn't mean we do anything that's harmful for the body. Drinking, smoking, drugs, this is not leisure. This is not recreation. This is simply harmful for the body. What is recreation? You can do yoga, the asanas. Asanas, that is a good recreation for the body. Or you can come together, clean the temple. Good recreation for the body. Or usually even sports is okay. Is okay. So these things are fine. This is good recreation. But today's people's recreation is Instagram. Let's keep checking the reels. Free time, 1 hour gone. Checking reels of Instagram. That's not recreation. So if we don't regulate, if we don't even know what recreation means, and we become unregulated, then what happens? Even after the recreation, the purpose of recreation is that we get some freshness of mind. You become refreshed. But after you scroll your Instagram, you just become tired because you've been seeing the screen for 1 hour straight, isn't it? So these are some tips Krishna gives of how a yogi, he balances his different aspects of life, and through regulation he attains satisfaction in material life, right? So yukta ahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna avabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. In this way he can mitigate the miseries of material life just by regulation in material activities. And to the previous of this section, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that, see, the Ashtanga yogi has to go to a secluded place, put a deer skin, sit on a platform which is neither too high nor too low, and he has so many rules and regulations, and therefore for this age, it is not possible to follow such a standard. I'm not saying this. Arjuna says this in 634. Later, next time we will come. He tells Krishna, actually, for my mind, it is not possible to follow what you're saying. So if Arjuna cannot follow it, who are we? We are tiny tot in front of Arjuna. Arjuna had way more sense control than we do. And Arjuna says in 634, Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavadridham. That means my mind is so strong and obstinate and turbulent. Vayur pramati balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayorivas dushkaram. Arjuna is telling Krishna that I can control the wind, but not the mind. And how many of us can really control the wind? Isn't it? We cannot even control the wind. Arjuna is saying, I can control the wind, but not my mind. That means how difficult it is to control the mind. Very difficult, isn't it? So, therefore, these what Krishna mentions Ashtanga Yoga, it's not even practical for Arjuna 5,000 years ago. And today, with all the current visa issues, with all the current job issues, poor job market, and relationship problems, nuclear family, so many problems everywhere. How is it possible to practice what Krishna is saying, Ashtanga Yoga? And Krishna, when Arjuna says it's impossible, it's not practical for me, Krishna says you're right, Arjuna. Actually, for you, you don't even have to worry about Ashtanga Yoga because Bhakti Yoga includes Ashtanga Yoga. That is the conclusion of the 6th chapter. If we chant Hare Krishna, we render seva to Krishna by coming to the temple, we hear from the Bhagavad Gita, we glorify Krishna, come together and discuss about Krishna, it includes all the benefits gained by practice of Ashtanga Yoga. Because in Bhakti also we have Yam Niyam. We were talking about eating and sleeping. That's all. In Bhakti Yoga also we do it. We have Yam Niyam. We have asanas. Means of course when we chant we sit straight. That's our asana. Pranayam we also breathe. We also breathe while chanting. Isn't it? And Pratyahara we have a very strict sense control. We don't see anything adultery. Our eyes are loyal to Krishna. Our senses are loyal to Krishna Seva. Our hands don't do anything wrong. Our eyes don't see anything wrong. Our ears don't hear anything wrong. Our nose doesn't smell anything wrong. Everything to connect, everything in connection with Krishna. So there is Pratyahara automatically. And because we do all this every day, we can chant Hare Krishna in meditation, not just for 12 seconds. We chant for hours together. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours daily we chant Hare Krishna. And therefore our minds are way more controlled, our lives are way more disciplined than any of the yogis. Now the famous highlighted yogi in the Mahakumbh Mela, Ayaitan Baba. Isn't it? You have seen him? Ayaitan Baba. He talks good philosophy and has a cigarette in his hand. That means how much ever he may speak, he is just like an armchair speculator because his senses are not controlled. Isn't it? And therefore, when we practice Krishna consciousness, our senses are way more controlled, way more disciplined, and we have all the habits, good habits. It comes automatically by practice Krishna consciousness. So therefore, what is most important for us? What is the actual path of yoga practical today in this age of Kali Yuga? All such disturbances going all around is the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is the Param Dhyanam. There's no better meditation, there's no better mantra to be chanted in Kali Yuga, and these are not my words. Kali Santana Upanishad and all the scriptures enunciate the same thing. In Kali Santana Upanishad, it said Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashikam Nam Kali Kalmashanashnam Nata Paratarapayah Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. The injunction of all the Vedas is to chant this mantra and it will remove all the ill effects of Kali Yuga. Iti Shodashikam Nam Kali Kalmashan Nashanam Natara Paratarapayah. Nata Paratarapayah means apart from this there is no other solution to the problems of Kali Yuga. It's only the chanting of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So what we'll do as a practical